Glenn Parker, High Vibration Foundation. Thank you very much for joining me. Been sick for a little while and finally started to feel better just today. But it didn't stop me from doing videos for the most part. Yay. I wanted to talk about forgiveness today, and I wanted to talk about, this is the game that we're playing to come to Earth and play a great game with a whole bunch of your friends and to learn to be able to give forgiveness for anything and everything, to have gone into great darkness and to get back to neutrality and forgiveness, and to have both the light and the darkness within you and bring those forward in a very powerful way. And there was, I've been drawn to all these old, these Nazi type of documentaries, Treblinka and Auschwitz, and there was one that I watched, and I have a Jewish grandfather, and for some reason I've been drawn to these types of things. I didn't find this out until recently, the last couple of years, that I had a Jewish grandfather, and it doesn't make me Jewish because my mother's not Jewish, but I've just had a curiosity about this era, so obviously I have a multiple simultaneous lifetime in this era. So an example of forgiveness that I have seen that filled me with a lot of unconditional love, there was a documentary that actually it's called Hitler's Children. You can check it out. It's on Netflix. And it's the children of a lot of the people that orchestrated the different death camps and that orchestrated the final solution. And there was one where they were going through and documenting this, and he was going on a pilgrimage. It was the son of the grandson of the person that, and I forgot his name, which is terrible, the person that was in charge of Auschwitz. And he went there on a pilgrimage, and there was this one scene where they're all going into a building, and they're wandering around, and there's a whole bunch of people who look like students that are carrying the Israeli flag, and they're going into this building. And so they were kind of curious about that, and they went in there, and when they're inside, they're all sitting on the floor, and there's like a rabbi that's a teacher that's talking about what's going, what had been going on. So they had found out that he had presented himself as an ancestor of the person that was in charge of this camp, and that he was there for the first time, but that he just wanted to go there. And so they allowed the students to do questions and answers, and asked, do you feel guilty? Yes, I do feel guilty. And they were kind of surprised, like, why do you feel guilty for something that, was an ancestor of yours? It's not like you even knew him, and others were saying, standing up and crying and saying, my family was, my family line ended here, and I'm one of the only survivors. And, there's lots of tears and whatnot. But there was a question. What would you do if you met, I think it was your grandfather, right now? And he said, I would kill him. Just flat out. And there was an older gentleman in the corner, and he said, I would like to shake his hand. And he's like, okay. And they said, well, this is one of the only living survivors of Auschwitz, and he's here to speak to the students, and he would like to shake your hand. And he's like, So he came over, he shook his hand, and he grabbed him and hugged him and said, this isn't your fault. I was here. You didn't do this. You can let go of this hatred or whatever it is that you have. It makes me cry just to think about it. It was so moving. And especially as a forgiveness lesson, someone who actually was at Auschwitz went to a child of the person, or grandchild of the person who ran the camp and was responsible for his friends and his family to die, came and said, this isn't your fault. You weren't the one that did this. And it's okay. You don't need to be unhappy about this. And that you could see him have a lot of energy release as far as, how more, there's no more being validated than someone from a survivor from the camp saying, yo, this is you, you're not responsible for this, and hug you and say you're not responsible to your face. So as far as a forgiveness lesson, I think that's what that's what it's all about. Is we came to play this great game, to play games with each other, to do horrible things to each other. One person's horrible is another person's happiness. And I'm not saying that I side with the Nazis or anything to that effect. I'm just, from a point of neutrality, everything is equal, everything is neutral. You're not, you're playing a game, and when you recognize it as a game, you can make it a fantastic game. You can make it one of forgiveness and one of recognition that all are equal. Nazis and Jews and Gentiles, everybody is equal. It doesn't matter what it is, what side of the fence that you're on. They all are human beings. And I think this one forgiveness lesson that someone, a Holocaust survivor, forgave the grandchild of the person that ran the camp that he was actually at, is just extraordinarily moving and a prime example of forgiveness. If we can forgive each other on that level and coming back into the light, into more of a fourth density state, as we're raising our frequency and raising our vibration, we'll be more integrative and integrate more. And what they were doing is they also were integrating past lives as well, which I think is what I'm accomplishing by watching some of these specials. I think I have unresolved lives, both on both sides, on the Nazi side and on the Jewish and probably Gypsy and whatnot side, from those who were killed at these camps, Treblinka and Auschwitz. So I think for me watching them, there's some resolution there, but it could have just been to watch that one scene just to convey it now. Or it could be all those things, obviously. So I thought I would just share that. I thought that was very moving. I think it was very interesting. And it's no better example of forgiveness that I can think of, or I might actually ever come across again, for such an atrocity, for someone to come up and go, it's okay, it's not your fault. And for them to not hold somebody that's in their ancestral lineage responsible is also a fantastic forgiveness lesson, for them to recognize that it's not their fault. And to forgive them is a fantastic gift to give to that person. So that was very interesting. I wanted to share that. It is, if you haven't seen it, it is very interesting. It is on Netflix. It was called Hitler's Children. Excuse me, and it was like 3 or 4 different children from some of the, naughty people from the Nazis. And but it was really well done, and it documented it, and most of them felt guilty for the sins of their fathers and grandfathers, so most of them were like direct children. Well, thank you very much for watching. Again, Glenn Parker, High Vibration Foundation, coaching life, business, and spiritual, also working on some other projects. You can see those below. Thank you very much for watching, and again, like, subscribe, and share.